I do think though that maybe they should look towards a Wraith King ban if you're Neon, because if you're committing a Doom onto a Wraith King, he's just gonna come back to life. It's kind of sad.
Yep, there we go. It's also one of Nando's favorite heroes, so of course you need to get rid of it. Like, it's just a double.
Great fan of that.
I mean, I would say that at that point you're just maybe going for like the Medusa though. The Medusa still being the pool is something both teams surely have their eyes on.
Yeah, Neon could use it too.
They're probably looking at last game like, okay, kind of slower pace farm game. What hero? Like they're expecting a similar style of games. These teams aren't just going to radically change their play style. That's partly why I think Doom rose in priority, because this is one of those heroes that shines in those kind of games. Devour, Midas Gold. You're playing for 30 to 40 minute timings. Doom is going to be one of the best heroes to have on your team. So I would expect Medusa to be banned or picked in this phase here.
Yeah, and Execration just banning out carries that deal well with Centaur. Conquer being played in the safe lane a lot as of late. Lifestealer, both these heroes are going to like lay nicely into Snapfire Centaur, because that is a strong lane, but there are heroes that can exist in it, and they're just taking it out to make sure they have a nice game.
Also ranged heroes and Lifestealer, right? TA is another good option here as well.
Yeah, they just lost TA,
okay.
so...
I think OB.Neon should actually pick up the Dusa. Grimstroke Dusa is a really strong combo, to be honest, and easy to execute.
Yeah, it kind of feels like a game of chicken of who might pick it first, or they're just not going to pick it at all.
Oh, those are Naga.
I don't like Naga, especially into blind pick, but we'll see how it goes. I think the Undying pick was fantastic. I think we saw a lot of Undying strength as a hero that gives vision when it was picked in the finals of TI. Especially when you're playing against Doom, if you're able to put a tombstone up on the high ground, see where this Doom is with the Grimstroke, cancel a blink maybe, then suddenly he's just like really struggling to get to where he wants to be to Doom your cause.
Yep, there you go. That's why you pick Naga.
Yeah, kind of force Execration in direction to deal with these illusions, and Leshrac looks great.
Yeah.
Good solid mid matchup, good against Naga. It's a hero that you can Doom. Like, it is a Doom target, but it's not like the best. Like, Leshrac, if you've got like your ultimate on or you already cast an Edict, you can still do AoE damage and even get some life steal and heals from like an Undying to kind of survive you, tank you through it. So
there's no way. Wait, there's no way they're last picking a 5 here, right? Assuming this Grimstroke Doom lane.
Like, I mean, it's fine to last pick a 5 if you feel like you want heroes to, before they get banned out. And I'm assuming that because they have Doom already, they're feeling really confident that, sure, our Naga's going to get carried, but we can Doom the counters. And we have 2 Dooms because we're playing with Grimstroke, so it gives her even more, like, agency in a fight to be safe.
There's no way this is Naga 5.
Could it be?
Unlikely. I don't think the hero does much as a 5, personally.
No, it's just a one snare, but you have the double snare.
I actually really vibe with that. I feel like this could be a really sick Naga 5, especially because they're now like forcing Execration to counter it, and they're like, oh, we gotta counter this Naga, guys. We can't just let her get away with this. They're like, psych.
Yeah. You commit to
well, if they had final pick the draft, sure, but if they pick a carry here, then Execration is just gonna last pick their carry based on what Neon get, I guess.
They have lots of lockdown.
Yeah, I feel like the Leshrac's good whether Naga's support or carry, basically. Like, it's still a good hero to have mid against the Ember.
There we go.
Oh, good call. Oh, that was fantastic. Nice shout.
Swap seats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The thing I feel like with this is, like, I don't think this is like some gotcha thing. Like, for Execration, they still have the last pick of the draft. They can get a Terrorblade against this Luna if they want to now. Like, they haven't over-countered this Naga where it's like, okay, we've completely screwed up our draft countering a carry Naga that's no longer a carry.
What's interesting is that you can actually swap Luna and Naga interchangeably in this sense.
True.
So I guess if it's TB, you could put Naga carry.
I don't think
Naga
counter.
Yeah, we've seen the Luna support from a few teams.
Yeah, that's why. Like, it's
I mean, it's not the worst.
Kind of cool.
I mean, it's pretty unique. This reminds me of old OB.Neon, by the way.
I definitely think that they should run Luna as a carry no matter what.
You're selling me on that. This flex where they can swap their carry and their support.
They should not swap this Naga and Luna into support. Please, God, don't do that.
You finally convinced me to hop on over, and now you're
No, I said sorry. I was talking about like it can work like Luna into a counter. I didn't mean Luna can work as a 5 position. I don't want that. I don't.
Could be Grim 5, Luna 4.
Grim, I suppose, but I don't want it.
Okay, yeah, actually. That's it.
Carry Luna.
I'm trying to like figure out how these guys are gonna play their game because there's a lot of like unorthodox stuff happening here, and
I'm hyped.
I'm kind of I don't see a proper playmaker like on Neon outside of Ember. Like who runs with Ember? Like they get Doom and Grimstroke all when they want to, but it's hard for them to like. No one here buys a Blink Dagger really outside of Doom, and he's probably gonna maybe greed out and get like a Midas or something first, because that's what Doom players do. I see. It seems hard for Neon to do what they want, and Execration are just like, we're going to defend our towers and fight, and Medusa will get farm, and then we will try and do something.
Definitely a game where OB.Neon don't seem to have a problem, much like Game 1, with having these supports that aren't big playmakers. We saw it last game with the Abaddon. They're more about team fights mid-game. So I think we're going to be in for another like 20, 25 minutes, farm up our items, and then go fight around like BKB timings. So curious to see how it goes. I think Execration can play faster tempo if they want. Leshrac, Diabolic Edict, great at pushing towers. So maybe an opening for Execration to kind of control the early game.
Let's see how those fights turn out after what could be an uneventful early game, but what's always eventful is having this wonderful cast by the gentlemen MLP, Dota, and JohnXfire.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We are into our second game between Execration and OB.Neon to answer the very important question as to whether we're actually going to see a 2-1 this week at the very least or not. It is MLP, Dota, and JohnXfire. John, welcome back, sir. Apparently, we have a position 5 Naga Siren in the game. Could you explain to me why that's good? That's a good thing, John.
It's Abing's signature. It's something he's played a lot of, and it's something he's used to across the teams he's played in. So it's something they love, and I think I'm just having a bit of a giggle. They're wishing each other luck. You know, this is. I think Norman said it in the lobby where this is 5 Pinoys versus 4 Pinoys and an Indonesian. So Norman considers himself Filipino, even though I don't think he knows too much Filipino yet. But the spirit counts. We'll accept him. And everyone's still in the high spirits. Everyone's calling each other plastic right now, you know, fake. But no one's fake. We're all actual friends. But when it comes to Dota, Mike, you got to play your best, right? So maybe some of that plastic does come in. We'll see. Again, back to the point about the Naga, it's an Abing signature. So we'll see if he can pull out all the stops. I think there's some potential. It does lead to a bit of a slower time, especially in the laning phase, so we might see something similar to game 1 where it takes a little bit longer. And Bob does give the shout out to Norman. Birthday boy does get his shout out. Why is he mixing Norman up with Mamang Daya? That's an interesting one. Haven't seen that.
Neither have I, John, but definitely happy birthday to Norman, of course. It's good to see one of the players actually called it out. I was wondering when that was going to happen. Top side of the bounties, they might have a bit of a fight, but no. The Naga illusion. Not too big of a deal. It'll be a 2-for-2 trade on the bounty runes. While we're here, we may as well just start off with the mid lane. Of course, you've got Bob there on the Leshrac, and he is going to be against Mamang Daya once again. The Lesh versus Ember matchup. A bit more of an awkward matchup between the two. It does feel like the Leshrac should have a decent enough advantage here. And we did see Bob completely dominate the mid lane last game around. Do you expect a similar thing to happen here against Mamang Daya on the Ember, John?
Yeah, the matchup works out, as the panel pointed out. This is something Bob plays at a really high level as well. Every single time we've seen Execration draft this Lesh, Bob's been on top, hits his timings, looks for the push potential with the Diabolic Edict. So I think he should have a really good time here, and Mamang Daya's got to watch out. He still has good spikes lined up for the Ember. Phase boots into Orb of Corrosion's the usual one, maybe a Javelin tossed in there as well for good measure. But it will take a little bit longer for him to hit that spike compared to the magic damage output of Bob. So Bob might turn on that Wrecker mode this game. We'll see, but I think the lane matchup just works itself out for him.
Oh, make no mistake. I mean, he was the Wrecker last game, John, at least for the first 10 minutes. He's completely destroying Mamang Daya, but of course later on it didn't quite pan out. Still bot lane, of course, as we can see. You've got Nando and Vincenzo against Narman and Enryu. I suppose it should be a very boring lane between the Doom and the Medusa. Anything to look out for here, John?
And there's some potential for aggression if you manage to maybe get, say, 3 Decay stacks onto one hero, get the Soul Rip on along with a good bounce and Mystic Snake, you could actually line up for a kill. Beyond that, you're probably just looking to farm. You could try to run in with Enryu as well. Maybe he gets a good Devour creep by level 3, play with the Inkswell, and try to run down Nando or Vincenzo. But again, your goal here for the Doom and the Deuce is just to farm. It's a very equal lane in that sense, so the emphasis will be on just building up, hit the Midas timing for Enryu, hit the initial spike with the Dragon Lance or quick the Asha Rush for Nando, and just kind of run from there.
Of course, top lane, the final lane we yet to talk about. You've got Kimizu and Carlo there against Palos and Abeng. This could be a bit more of an action-packed game because you do have, again, double stuns here from Execration. You got the cookie into the hoof stomp set up there between Kamizu and Carlo. It does feel like OB.Neon, they do have to play this lane very carefully. So you just kind of misstep once and it could fall apart. Like, you haven't got a pos 5 that can really save you if you do get caught out as this Luna.
But you can be aggressive. Like, maybe not until Ensnare is up, you're not going to have the best hold to counteract the double stuns on Execration's end. But you have to remember, with the Aura build on Palos, Abing's going to be doing some decent right-click harass as well and trying to proc those Riptides. So there's an opportunity there to be aggressive. You can play around with the illusions to cut waves, to get some pulls off, and to contest stacks. And I think that's what Abing's going to have to set out for himself here. Already getting an early rotation towards the Bounty Rune, maybe looking to snipe it out, preventing the refill coming through from Bob. Again, helping manage Mamang Daya's lane. Every single resource counts for the Lesh, although Daya...
Yeah, ends up going down. Bob once again able to find first blood onto Mamang Daya, but this time around it was solo. That's another fantastic start for Execration as Mamang Daya, he's not going to be too happy about that.
Yeah, it's a great start for Bob, and this is what you expect in that matchup. One little misstep from the Ember, very easy to punish. So Bob's set up to have a good time, even though his bounty rune snagged away. It doesn't matter. He's got rune control with the water runes. He's got level advantage over Mamang Daya. Gets a bit worrisome for Mamang Daya. Again, he needs to hit his item spikes to really dish some damage back. That's going to be kind of stalled out. He is getting the creep farm going his way. So in terms of CS, in terms of lane control, it is there. But the level spike is definitely where that difference with the Lesh and Ember will come out now.
Certainly so. And it's one of those things with the Leshrac as well, right? Like, this is one of those heroes where you don't really want to give it an XP advantage. It's already kind of a pain in the ass as it is with this hero, but the more levels it has, the more snowbally it gets, and well, the more impossible it becomes to try and lane against it. It's Bob now just almost full, 2 full levels ahead. Just about to hit level 6 on this Lesh. I suppose on the brighter side for OB.Neon, the other lanes are going somewhat decently. I mean, Enryu's having a pretty decent time on this Doom down at bot lane against Nando. Though again, there is no real pressure on the Doom right now. It's a Medusa. You know, you're gonna cop a few right clicks and Mystic Snake, but afterwards you'll be just fine to keep spamming your Devour and just keep hitting creeps.
Yeah, just a very static lane, focused on farm. Vincenzo's trying to kind of zone out Narman, but he has to be a bit careful. He's a bit behind in the EXP now in the Pawns 5, very sacrificial, trying to give as much room as possible towards Nando to hit his own level spikes to get the Mystic Snake and the split shot going for the farm down the line. But that will cut off the early spikes of the Undying as well. Very timing sensitive hero. You kind of want to get your Soul Rip up and running, get the Tombstone for value, and run from there. We are seeing Bob being really aggressive, just cutting through. He hits level 6. He knows he's got the damage. He can just easily shove Daya away from the creep wave.
He's doing a great job of it. And Bob just not giving any space away to Mamang Daya right now. As just even take away the small camp. But Bob does get rather low, thanks to that sleight of fist from Mamang Daya, but not quite low enough to really die off. And Carlo, he'll be there with the salve up to make sure that this Lesh just keep doing what it's doing. Mamang Daya just looking for that level 6 mark to be able to play a little bit more aggressively. I think God's kind of pointed this out on the panel, John, but it is to be expected that this is going to be a bit of a slower game between these two teams. So you kind of do want to take quite a bit of time to just farm up and get those initial items up. You see a Bang on that Naga, or both supports rather, just stacking up their jungles respectively as well, Carlo and a Bang going to run into each other. A Bang is going to have Mamang Daya coming in, so you do have a bit of help, but Mamang Daya does not have chain skilled up. So no way to cancel the TP. It'll be a nice easy TP out for the Snapfire.
Yep, manages to bail out to safety, but Mamang Daya gets to cut through, grab another bounty rune away from the side of Execration once more. Bob's not going to mind. He gets level 7, he's got level 2 Edict, and they're forced to rotate and keep Narman on the mid lane just to prevent that shove in. But you are seeing the threat of the Leshrac come true. OB.Neon respect that early timing, put the heroes forward, but now, Bob, Carlo, looking for the smoke play.
They are, but a Bang is going to be there to break the smoke on the Naga, so everything just fine now, but the cookie is going to land there onto a Bang. They'll have to settle for a Naga Siren kill unless Roshan can get it, but not quite. Nice pick up again from Execration as Bob, he's found so many stacks for himself. Oh, this is juicy. Narman, he'll have to watch in pain as Bob just completely wipes the stacks away. You do have your Luna rotating, but Palos, he may have just sacrificed himself for free. In fact, now MLP is going to rotate with a nice Inkswell stun out. But the most you're probably going to get is a Snapfire kill. And even that's looking a bit too difficult at the moment for OB.Neon. So they are going to have to back as Bob. He'll start to get aggressive now. Back on Anaman, and he's got him. Nice and easy. So they just cannot do anything to fight back yet. Not against Bob.
Yeah, it's just a lot of good early aggression coming through from Execration and Habeng.
Yeah. You get the quick D ward out, but that's about all you're going to get as the tips do come out from Execration. It's currently 5-0, John. I mean, sure, you're kind of farming on Palos, but I say that. He's in the middle of the net worth board right now, so things are looking pretty rough. OB.Neon, they've got to be very wary not to lose too many towers here, otherwise they're going to lose that jungle, and well, Palos is going to have nowhere to farm.
Yeah, it's going to be a rough time to get that recovery going for the Luna. She really relied on those early stacks. I love the aggression coming through from Execration. They know they've got this early spike. They melt the top tier 1, so they've got easier access into that top jungle to cut off. They've also managed to buy out a ton of space out for Nando here, Mike. So Ardusa has a very free lane bot. For Neon, in exchange, Enryu is going to have pretty decent timing in the Midas. Not the quickest we've seen, but I think it's a little bit more important for Neon now to maybe take a step back, get these initial items going. If they do want to make a play, it's going to be off the back of Mamangdaya at the moment, who still doesn't have the full phase boots or Orb of Corrosion out yet. So the right click damage of Mamangdaya with a sleight of fist spam isn't enough to really burst through just yet, but it's probably their best bet. I think right now you're not ready to show your Doom, you're not ready to show your Luna. You could maybe just casually throw off the Doom for one pick off and go back to farming on the hero, but you're not going to clump up like Execration is. And Execration knows that. They just keep sticking together. They've got level 3 edict up. I think they're going to be eyeing mid soon, and Neon has to be ready to kind of counteract that pressure, because once that mid tier 1 goes, I don't know if you can really secure safe stacks for Palos anymore.
Bob's going to move in. Bang, he's there to try and defend as he does get the ensnare off. Mamangdaya thinking about getting aggressive. Bob, he'll be silenced. Chains are out. Stampede, though, is going to be popped, and Bob... Oh, that's a lot of damage. Mamangdaya able to secure the kill onto Bob. And that's a big one, considering how rough of a lane he had on the Ember. You generally do appreciate the extra golden XP you just got as December Spirit.
Yeah, it helps Mamangdaya again hit that snowball marker. He's got the Orb of Corrosion. He's looking like he's skipping the phase boots, just going straight for the Javelin into Maelstrom. So he knows he wants to be aggressive. He's the one to set the pace. Side of Execration aren't really backing off, though. Like, they lose their Lesh. They're still going to chase down Palos and punish the farm.
Oh, it's a great pickup. This is the one target you do not want to see go down if you're OB.Neon, but Palos, he cannot catch a break. Not expecting it as they still held on to that tier 1 mid, but I suppose the supports on the side of OB.Neon just feel a little weak right now as Mamangdaya continues to play around with Bob in this mid lane. But Execration, you know they're kind of looking back into that mid tier 1 again. And now with Kimizu here, it's kind of hard for them not to take the tier 1 tower.
Yeah. They've got protection on Kimizu. He's got the Vanguard Hood of Defiance. It's hard to press him down. You're just going to keep running.
Yeah. Mamangdaya, he's forced to run it out. Soulbind is there. The whole 2 down, or at least 1 for now, is the Undying. Vincenzo, he just won't run back towards his team. Now Nando, he'll move forward with the Stone Gaze out. They've already got Enryu down, and now Narman's gone to boot. Such a dominant first 10 minutes for Execration as they just continue to push forward. OB.Neon just trying to find their footing here in this game number 2. As Execration, they'll smoke up with Bob and Carlo down towards that bot lane. Looking again for Palos, but they'll barely miss out. In the meantime, towards the north, Kimizu's just taken more stacks away, all of which were meant for Palos on that Luna. But he will get nothing, apart from a double Ancient stack.
Yeah, this is painful for the side of Neon. They're just losing so many resources on the map. Execration's aggression is lining up. I mean, you're at the point where even Nando's comfy enough to show up. He knows he's tanky enough to sit for the initial damage. He's got the Yasha, he's got the Dragon Lancer, some decent stats to contribute to these fights as well. and he's still not being contested when he does pull back. Because the side of Neon are just forced to play so defensively with this really greedy draft. They've got to kind of ride through this rough part on Neon's end, hit the point where maybe you get that BKB blink up on Enryu, and then start playing with the potential of that Soulbind Doom. Because we haven't seen Enryu commit that spell just yet.
Enryu's just going to be careful not to get caught out right now. He'll be fine. He'll just stick around that tier 2 top tower. A bang though. K as well, just getting those D wards out from that dire jungle. Just such a desperate situation. As you know how far behind Palace has fallen, but you gotta give props to the man. He is catching up. His top side, Enryu again, just trying to defend against Bob. Eventually Bob's the one to just TP out. He's just not feeling comfortable trying to go after this tier 2 top tower 12 minutes in. Just back to farming for Execration. But back to what I was saying, John. Palos, it's quite impressive considering the fact that all his stacks were taken. And he's died a couple times now. He is still just 1k behind this Medusa.
Yeah, he's doing a good job of recovering as much as possible, playing in that bot jungle, dipping into the triangle when he can. But Execration, I think they're still getting more despite that, right? Like, the recovery is coming true, but Palos is playing at the deficit against Medusa. You need an item lead on the Luna. You've got a bit of an earlier power spike with the potential for your damage coming out with Eclipse, with your strong auras coming through, with your passive as well. So that's what you need to kind of play around with Luna. Execration, smoking out in the right spot, just not catching the right heroes, but they are set up for a good fight here if they want to.
Chains, oh, they commit everything. They just throw everything but the kitchen sink to make sure Kamizu dies. And they'll get him. It's Execration. They'll leave him be. So I suppose, considering how the game's gone, you may as well just throw the Doom out. But bot lane, Palos has been caught. Execration, they just find a better trade. Palos, you don't want to show on the map like that when everyone else is ganking some hero from Execration.
Yeah, it's a worthwhile trade for Execration in the end. I mean, they only lose their off lane. They had to commit so many spells on Neon's side. Now, because they use Doom, they're not going to be able to look for rotation. They're not going to be able to really play aggressive unless Mamangai is willing to put his body forward. And that kill does give him the gold needed to kind of fully finish up his Maelstrom, does look like. So there is a little bit more damage on the Ember. And they could play around that tempo now with the lightning damage coming through. But I still don't think it matches up to how durable the side of Execration is, how much sustain they have with the Undying up front. It's just still a bit too much for one hero to handle.
That's the Undying now, but Kamizu just going to rush in onto a bang, but he's got the song out. Just looking to disengage. Should be fine to do so, as you just haven't got the catch right now on Execration. To pick off that Naga again. Still, they hold that dire triangle. Mamangdaya looking to go after Bob. Does get the chains off. Bob's got plenty of help around. Problem is Mamangdaya, the damage output. Not enough though. Vincenzo with the Soul Rip just in the nick of time to save his Leshrac. And Bob, he will get up just by a hair.
Man, I just said it right? Like, there's so much riding on Mamangai to get the aggression, but he just doesn't have enough to get that done. There's a lot of sustain, a lot of damage coming through from Execration. He needs backup. And for that backup, he needs to play with Enryu, really. So I think they have to reel it in on Neon's side, play this much more defensive game. They're doing a good job of still buying space out for Palos, but they can't sacrifice the Ember. It's got to be the supports running around. I think when you see Abeng committing the song to escape, that's fine. It's wasting time for Execration. It needs to be Abeng and, to a certain extent, Narman kind of putting their bodies forward to stall out for these 3 cores to equally build up here on Neon's end.
5k net worth advantage here as Execration. Still just buying even more time for Nando. And Palos doing his best to just try and keep up. Nando is well and truly starting to pull ahead now, working on towards that Aghanim Scepter. Just, the team fights become that much more difficult when you've got that Ags up on your Medusa, as they do smoke up as 5. Hell, even a blink up now on their Snapfire. Zenryu, a bang, they do break the smoke. Kamizu's in. Who do they want to focus though? I mean, Stampede is available, but they're going to settle for a bang instead. They won't bother trying. In the mid lane, though, they did find Nando on that Medusa, but it's only Mamangtaya. Very split kind of team fight here. From OB.Neon, just trying to see if they can find Nando, but he proves to be a little bit too tanky on the Medusa. And now Mamangtaya does get caught. There is the stuns out, and he does go down again. So Execration able to find the lockdown. And they're looking to move into that mid-tier too.
Yeah, they've got an easy angle to push. Again, Kimizu can just tank up front. Very durable center right now. Bob can come through with the Edict as well. They are trying to find an angle onto Vincenzo, but that's just your support Undying. He's not going to mind too much being focused this hard. Buys a lot of space out. Neon, I don't know what the angle is for the play here. They've got the song ready in Abeng. I think they've... Oh.
Yeah, he almost goes down in this Doom. Barely able to get away from Bob. I do agree, John. It's kind of hard to find an angle right now for OB.Neon. I suppose we could have said the same thing last game around as well. Multiple times, in fact. But they found it. It just feels like one of those games where you're very reliant on those Dooms to come out. Even the double Dooms with the Soulbind. And well, naturally, Palos, he needs some space. He needs the time to catch up. And hell, even then, the Luna vs Medusa matchup isn't exactly Luna favored.
Yeah, it's a bit of a tough one scaling into the late game. Like, the Medusa has a lot of utility coming through. We're seeing Nando actually rush for the Ags here, Mike. So the Stone Form is going to be there. It's going to make it a lot easier to focus in on Luna until a BKB's up for Paulus. He does have it running. So there's some counterplay potential, but then you still have to deal with the Stone Gaze in the end. So can still be a bit of an awkward back and forth. Neon, they're going to go for the smoke up. They've got the BKB on Enryu. I think they're a little bit more confident in finding an angle and jumping in. Just BKB Doom, focus on one target, clean up and retreat. Rinse and repeat around that tempo. If Neon can just kind of pull off this hit and run style and stall out the aggression of Execration, we might hit that point where Paulus can really start to flex the damage of that Luna and maybe even start to get some more EXP and gold flowing out to the supports. Like, Abing's got a lot of utility into the late game if he does manage to reach that point where he does get the farm up.
Kimizu. He's spotted here by a Bang, but he'll be the first one to jump in. Doom is out onto the Centaur. You've got help around. Soulbind committed, but the Mortimer's Kiss is to fly in, back in onto Enryu, but they're still trying for that Centaur. In the meantime, though, Bob, he does kill off Narman, and they can't actually kill off Kimizu. The Soul Rip is more than enough to keep him alive as a Bang. He has forced the song up just so they can retreat. What do you think about that, John? I mean, do you Doom the Centaur? Is that the target?
No, I mean, it's a target. It's a forced fight from Neon. It's like they were smoked up. They were under pressure to make a play. They didn't find anyone else. So they just jumped the Centaur, hoping he's alone. They don't have the info to really make that work. Like, they've got a couple of wards watching the riverside, but it's still not enough. I think just trying to find what they can.
He's been caught out again with the hoof stomp, and he's gone. Vincenzo able to take the kill for himself, and oh, it's been a very rough time for Mamangtaya on this Ember. There's Execration now looking to move into that mid-tier 2 tower. It's going to be easy pickings with Bob around. Hell, they might even try for a third. Carlo is in after Narman. We'll have to let him go as he does not connect the cookie. But again, tier 3 is still open here for Bob and Nando to get started on. And that's exactly what they'll do.
Yeah, they can just push in. Good use of Tombstone to zone out. Nando, he's got the Ags, Mike. So the Snake's going to be bouncing around, forcing out Stone Form. It makes it super hard to defend. Doom is still down for 50 seconds. They're going to be satisfied with the tier 3 here for Execration. They back off, and they play it safe. They've got this it's not really a massive lead. 6k up for Execration isn't the biggest, but it's enough to put OB.Neon in a bind. Palas is still trying to farm up. Enryu is still kind of not in good spot for a Doom, right? Like, normally with a Doom, you've got this huge net worth lead with a Midas Devour. Right now, he's behind even Bob. I think your big issue is that Mamangtaya is forced to really be up in front, and he has no protection, so he just dies instantly, and he's not scaling up on the Ember to build the momentum for Neon. Still, they are going for a 5-man smoke. Again, they don't have the most aggressive wards to spot anyone out, but if they circle onto Bob at the right time, this could be big.
They might just get him as well. Bob, he barely avoids, but no, the chains are out. Mamangtaya going for the tree line. They do stampede, they're trying to catch up and make sure Bob does survive somehow, but they can't help him. They did at least find a Bang In the backside is now Kamizu looking to move back in, but Enryu, he gets a double doom off. This could be the team fight that OB.Neon were looking for. They at least find Vincenzo, but they can't deal with Nando quite yet. They've got it back at least for now, but Carlo, he'll go back in after Enryu, but he will drop to Palos. Still, all things being said and done, not too bad of a team fight as Kamizu now still being chased down by Mangdaya. They might have another, but no, the gaze is there with the Aghanim Scepter. He gets petrified. They do find the Ember once again. Somehow Kamizu does survive.
Yeah, it's a bit on edge for Execration, but in the end, it kind of works out. Sure, Neon does find some good kills. They kill off Bob, but they still get heavily punished. I think the silver lining for Neon's that they don't lose Palos at least, so he does get to kind of catch up. He's within 3k of the Dusa here, Mike, not too far off, and should be able to maybe hit a couple more item beats, but I still feel like sacrificing the Ember in particular is just not ideal. Mamangdai is still so far away from his BKB, and because Doom is down once more, Roche has opened up here for Execration. They just go in. They've got the damage with Nando. There is maybe a song play here for Abing if they spot it out, but they don't have the wards. There's a lot of sentries around from Execration to ensure no interference comes in from Neon for this Roche shot.
Yeah, and even if you wanted to try and interfere here, John, I don't think they can really take on Execration. Not when they're 5. That'll be Roshan to go the way of Nando now. And Nando, of course, I mean, you kind of just want to finish off that Eye of Skadi before you go too much further. He's pretty close to it anyway, though, just about 1k off. Once the Skadi's there, you might try to force a high ground attempt once again here from the Radiant. In the meantime, though, OB.Neon, they've got to find some pickoffs to try and slow down the incoming high ground attempt. Or at least for now, Execration seem to want to try for that tier 2 top tower. Of course, they will go back to the outposts as well. But by the time the tier 2's down, I have Skadi pretty much up for Nando, just a few hundred gold away. Again, OB.Neon, they're the ones that need to find a way to defend this high ground.
Yeah, I think Mamandang's doing the right thing, just creep cutting on mid to prevent any sort of progression on the open lane. And that does kind of stall out for a bit. It's all about buying time for Neon. You know, just keep playing run and gun, keep playing tag, wait for an opportunity to present itself with double doom, as we've seen Neon can actually fight in that way. And hope that they have enough on pallets to get running here. The Crystallis is up and running on our Luna, so there's a little bit more right-click damage coming through here for Palos. Still not much damage compared to the output of our Dusa at this moment, but a little bit more to play with. I think that's always good news for Neon to have some progression elsewhere. I think for the side of Execration, they don't really mind us too much. I mean, they've still got all the map under their control. They've still got the Aegis running for 3.5 minutes here. Nando, with a Skadi up, has so much stats. It's going to be hard to burst through unless they actually commit the Doom onto the Dusa somehow. Nando's positioning has been excellent in the past few fights, Mike. He stands way far behind. He allows the rest of the team to kind of cop all the spells, comes in and cleans up afterwards.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you wouldn't even know Nando's there, quite frankly. I mean, he just sneaks up on you. He doesn't really need to do that, but it's working out very well here for Execration as Beng now going to be spotted out by Nando. Realizes that is not an illusion running down the bot lane, so Beng needs to find his own way out. But it looks like Nando, he's by himself. He's not going to bother chasing into the tree line. He'll just keep pushing out this bot wave. In the meantime, though, Enryu and Narman, bit of a warding mission for them, but Bob is going to try and cut them off along with Carlo, and it looks like they do at least find out the Grimstroke. Split Earth is there, so no Soulbind to come out from Narman. And Enryu, he could not throw the Doom out. In fact, now they found Mamangdaya again, but he is going to be able to remnant this time. But still, high ground is open. Can force a buyback from this Grimstroke. Going down, they'll get to work. It does seem like Narman does not intend on buying back, but that might mean a second lane of barracks if you're not too careful.
I think it will. Like, you just clear out so fast inside of Execration with Bob and Nando. They really need the double Doom to find the angle, and they forced out the BKB use of Enryu early on, so it's not like he can just easily blink in and even just jump on top of Nando to take care of the Aegis and force it back off. They will play it safe on Execration's end, though. They know they're not really in a rush. They've got the lead here. They've got one lane that's going to constantly shove in. Daedalus Fernando is almost done, Mike, so even more right-click damage coming through with an amplification from the Petrify on the Ags, on the Stone Gaze. It's going to be hard to deal with Nando. I'm keen to see how Neon prioritized that double Doom. I think so far it's basically just been look for an opening, get the Soulbind, get the Doom, be happy with the kills, and then back off. But for the high ground defense, I think it might have to be a little bit more targeted. Ideally, Nando is one of the two that gets doomed up. If not Nando, then Bob. I think if you can get that situation for yourself for Neon, the defense becomes a lot easier to execute on their side.
Well, Palos just desperately trying to farm up on this Luna to try and give them a chance. Nando working towards his own Daedalus as well now, to do something. So both carries just trying to get that last bit of damage output. Well, we've seen OB.Neon, they have been just constantly split pushing lanes out, just making it very hard for Execration to try and approach that high ground. It'll be a similar story this time around. In fact, maybe not, because Bob's found a double damage rune. Nando will make his way over to bottle that up, and that should make life a lot easier for Execration if they needed it, which they don't. But they might just commit to the bot lane push now. Though Aegis does expire, I wonder if Execration want to be conservative about this. Like, it feels like there's no reason to be, but at the same time, if you lose a high ground team fight, after that game one, they might be a little bit afraid of what could happen.
I think there's always potential to bounce back in. Neon, they are looking for the smoke play. They timed this with the Aegis expiry. So they know if they do get the Doom on the Dusa, that's going to be a nice, juicy kill. Let's see if they do manage to find that out. They've got a good ward spotting out that location. They do manage to drop the Sentry Obs to kind of take care of it, but Nando is just on full retreat. Neon in a good position to pincer here, Mike. Again, if they kill the Dusa, that could stall the game out.
Oh, Nando, they're going to spot him out, but the stump is not there. Still, they make the jump in. Lotus Orb about to wear out, and there's the Doom out with the Soulbind. Maybe they can win this team fight out. Enryu, though, he's muted himself, but it may not matter. Vincenzo, he's got a Nando. He does drop now. Kamisu still trying. They'll go on to Palos. Palos, he does finally drop to Bob as Mamang Daya. He's been stunned up, but he does finish off Kamisu, trying to find his own exit, and he does make it. Though Bob, Yule Scepter up, is able to continue this fight. Silence was not there in time, and they've got Mamang Daya down. Narman, the only survivor, and he will make it. But it's going to be a 3-for-4 trade in the favor of Execration. But I think for OB.Neon, it's a glimmer of hope to make a comeback in this game. Just the fact that they could actually get Nando down.
I mean, they're seeing that they can handle that Dusa, which is big. Right, so they've got some hope for the high ground hold. They just need to kind of play around with the tempo of Doom now. Right, so whenever Doom's up, that's your opportunity to go out and get a nice kill on Dusa, keep stalling the game out. They're also trying to build into the Aghanim's here for Narman, Mike. So the Dark Portrait illusion coming through to use the Dusa against Execration could also be one of the factors to keep this game in the books for Neon to stay inside. And I think they're kind of lined up to hit those item spikes fairly soon. For the side of Execration, they can't really do much with just Bob, so they can't make much more progression on the map. They can't really gun for Roshan, although it's still a few seconds away from when we find it. Carlo being really aggressive here on Abeng.
He is. And Carlo just very, very confident on the Snapfire. Again, all they're looking to do is buy more and more time for Palos. Execration, their next objective, of course, is going to be that secondary Roshan. We'll find it in about 15 seconds when that is spawning up, but before that, Execration, they'll 5-man smoke again. Run into first, Stampede is there, they found Palos with the BKB. Is there in time, and now the song is committed. A bang, he puts the hand up and TP's out. You love to see it. Just waves goodbye.
The defensive play for Neon. Exact good call. You sacrifice Song to take away the effect of Stampede. You get to reset. You get to buy time for Palos to keep playing this farm game. It's the stall mechanism, again, for Neon. Even though they're not quite gaining network back their way, they're still 12k behind here. They are lining up the item spikes. Daedalus for Palace lined up, still kind of lacking the recipe gold, but glimmers of hope are coming true. Narman again. Ags is going to be done when his courier respawns, so Dark Portrait will be there in about half a minute. And that could be big. I think the illusion's been heavily nerfed in the past few patches. It's been a lot easier to kill off, but you still can't underestimate it. If the micro's there from Narman, the damage output of using Nando against his own team might, again, just give them another tool to approach the fight, to kind of take them out. And they're going to smoke out here. Maybe a bit of a risk, but they've got Doom up and running, Mike.
They do. If you can get that soulbind on a good target, could be all OB.Neon needs, but Execration, they are still 12k ahead. You've got to find Nando with that Doom. Otherwise, he is probably just going to shred your team. Mamangdaya will show himself to Bob. That'll be about it, though. Both teams just feeling very nervous right now for this next team fight. Because Roshan's still 50 seconds away, so you haven't really got that to play for yet. And of course, in the meantime, John, Narman does have the Aghanim Scepter you brought up earlier. So we'll see how much that Dark Portrait does do. He does have himself a Medusa illusion right now. It's going to be, I'm sure, very annoying. As he does get the Ice Cardi slow as well. It's going to be very, very fun for Execration to try and deal with. Still, they'll hold the high ground. Okay, neither team really committing quite yet. But once that Roshan does spawn up, Execration, they do have first dibs. It'll be OB.Neon, they need to find a way into the Roshan to try and counter.
Yeah, they've still got certain tools there. Song's going to be up in about 10 seconds. Again, Soulbind Doom is still ready to go. Roshan will respawn, and Kimizu and Vincenzo does spot it, and that should be the go-ahead now for Execration. Neon, they need to run fast. They're sending out the Naga illusions to scout out, but they're not in position just yet to run up towards Roshan. But at least they have the info. We'll see if they'll make it in time, or if it's even something they feel like they can contest. That is Rosh number 2 with a free ag chart, and they will smoke. So, just gotta find the angle here, OB.Neon.
I mean, they've smoked, John. I'm not sure if they're going to make it in time, though. Remnant's forward, Mamangdaya, he's there. Roshan's down. Inkswell connects, but the Petrify is out again. And Mamangdaya, he cannot pick up the Aegis in time. Oh, so close yet so far. Still, the team fight will break out. They'll continue trying. But it seems like OB.Neon not feeling confident without that Aegis. Oh, maybe they do a bang. That's a great Meteor Hammer song setup. It will land onto 2. Now Enryu's there. Where's your Soulbind? It's out, but the Doom was already committed. They did find the Medusa. That will mean Nando should drop. But that'll only be the first life. As Bob now, he'll go on to Narman, trying to get that Grimstroke down. He's almost got him. In fact, he does now as Palos. He'll be the second to drop. Mamangdaya, he's the only one left to try and fight, but he is completely out of mana. In Execration, that might just be GG. There's 4 heroes down without buyback.
Yeah, respawns aren't too long, except for Palos and maybe Mamangdaya, but I don't know if they can actually do anything. Tier 4 rush is the play here for Execration. And Neon, a very ballsy move for Mamangdaya coming in. It looked like he had the angle for the rush. Didn't manage to get the BKB. Petrify was a bit too strong. They were held back. At least there is a Fortify to stall out. And Abeng is ready to go, but he can't really do much by himself. Looks like he'll just go for the creep wave cut. There's no other lane shoved in, so if he does manage to clear out the last creep wave, nah. A bit of a stall there. Yeah, Execration, they draw out the series, Mike. We're going to game 3.
Now we are, Jonathan. Great news. We've gone somewhere now. It's going to be at least a 2-1 today between these two teams. And I'll tell you what, I mean, Execration, they made that one look real clean. It felt like that game was over 10 minutes in, quite frankly, as OB.Neon just had no answers for the aggression of Execration. But I'm happy to say we do finally have a third game of a series here between OB.Neon and Execration. Can't wait.
Yeah. And Execration, as you said, Mike, they played really clean. I think Neon trying out the support Naga for Abing, one of his signatures, didn't quite pan out. I think their entire lineup was maybe a bit too passive with Luna and an off-lane Doom. I think if you had something more active for Enryu, you might have been able to take some earlier fights, apply some pressure instead onto the side of Execration. Didn't quite come out that way. I think Enryu was a bit too far behind Doom to get that done. We'll see if Neon manages to fix some of those issues for game number 3, though, Mike.
we'll head off to a short break, and right after the break, we'll be back with our game number 3 between OB.Neon and Execration.